Kia ora tātou. Nau mai ki te whanganui atara, ki te rua nei whātaitiri. Nau mai ki te whenua nei o te tiawa, Ngāti Toa ki a koutou e whakaata mai, e mātataki mai ki a koutou katoa. Greetings everyone. When I was asked to come and give a presentation and a speech on this, I had to ask myself, what's the kind of one thing I'd like to know if I was a young Māori looking to move into governance and move into this space? And I think the key thing that I would have liked to have known is, how do I figure out to get around the imposter syndrome? And that's the syndrome that a lot of humans have, virtually all of us have it, around, am I good enough? And do I have to kind of wear my hat and who I am as a Māori? Do I have to put that aside when I'm not dealing specifically with Māori things? So my presentation is going to be about how you can be a Māori no matter what board you're on, and how you can add value in your role as a governor because you're Māori. And I'm going to give you two examples of where that's been done on boards that I've been, which are not Māori organisations. So first of all, some photos up there. Hopefully you can see it online as well. These photos are from a very famous New York bestseller little booklet called Te Harere. It was produced in the 1970s, published by Price Millburn, photos by the famous Anne Westra, and it was about a family who left, a big, large Māori family who left Upper Hutt, their home in Upper Hutt, travelled in their Holden station wagon and went up to the whanganui. They went on holiday to a farm. In fact, the book was called Te Harere. It was a little primer for learning te reo Māori. It had very simple sentences in it like, kei te haere tatou ki whea papa, kei te haere tatou ki te pāmu mo te harere, things like that. That family was mine, and that's me, that little tacker. The only photo of me in the whole book. My brothers galore everywhere else. There's some of my brothers playing in their kinaki and they're mucking around in the Whanganui River. Some of you might know my oldest brother, Anthony Royal. He's now the CEO of the Māori Inspection Commission. That's him with a really ugly 1970s haircut, so you can laugh at him next time you see him. And on the left-hand side is us greeting the people we're going to go stay with. That's Uncle Ray Bailey. So those from the Whanganui, from Taranaki, well, no, that's Te Rei Mana Bailey on the right-hand side there, next to my brother Haunui with the horrible bowl cut, and he's got those horn-rimmed glasses. Haunui used to be head of programming at Māori Television. So again, if you meet that brother, make fun of him because he's got a terrible haircut from the 70s. Ray Bailey was an instrumental person for establishing a number of key Māori organisations, including PKW, Te Atiho, and some other Māori organisations. On the other side is my father. He was starting to lose his hair even then. He was at that time on boards like Tapuwae Marae, Otaki Parehauraki Māori Trust Board, Raukawa Trustees, Chair of Te Ngāti Raukawa. And the point I want to make about all of this is in the 1970s and 60s and 70s was probably the burgeoning of a bunch of structures and organisations that we kind of know now, these venerable institutions of Māori organisations. It was also the establishment of a number of kind of the runanga started to get legal form, iwi runanga, that kind of changed form when they settled, but they started to become established then. And if you think about it, these were probably the first kind of Māori mission-led organisations. So everyone talks about mission-led and purpose-led now. We're looking for that as a global opportunity. This is what investors and staff are looking for. These ones set it all up. These were mission-led organisations. They had clear purpose and a clear set of values. And my proposition to you is that those values and that ethos continue today, continue to resonate, and provide us with a really great opportunity to think even in colourful 2022. So bold black and white 1970s, colourful 2022. Those values and ethos and the approach we use as a Māori lens still add value. And to demonstrate that, I'm going to give you two examples. I'm going to show you one about being on a large infrastructure board and how a Māori lens effectively supported that organisation, and on the second one of an overseas company and how a Māori lens supports and drives that organisation. But before that, just a little bit about me. Because I talk about Ngāti Raukawa, Parehauraki, Ngāpuhi, and in case many of my Ngāti Hine relations are here, also Ngāti Hine, sorry, I got left off. Yeah, sorry, Kate. Okay, these are some of the boards over my sort of last 15 years I've been on. Forestry, infrastructure, investment, tech, iwi development, and I've also advised a number of Māori organisations. I'm a commercial lawyer by training. I still do advisory work on best practice for Māori organisations, governance, and I used to run also student directors Māori governance courses. So I've kind of seen a few. I've worked with about 12, 14 Māori iwi organisations and their boards. But these observations are not about the kaupapa Māori organisations, because they're relatively, everyone at that table is bringing a Māori lens, everybody. So I don't want to talk about that. I want to talk about another organisation. This is Kiwi Rail. I want to talk about that. So this is obviously New Zealand's large rail operation. Had at the time I was on the board, I've been off it for a few years now. It had about 4,000 staff. And then when I came on the board, I observed a couple of things. One, that the staff in this organisation are really passionate about the organisation. Some of them are not just second generation, they're third generation rail people. Their grandparents are rail people, their parents are rail people, and they're rail people. So incredible passion for the organisation. The other observation is, when you looked at it across the 4,000 staff, it tended to be a certain brown flavour to those in the lower tier of organisations at the front line. And when the further up you move in the hierarchy of the organisation, the less brown faces. So Māori, Pacific Islander, recent immigrant family communities, they tended to be working in the lower tiers of the organisation. So I wanted to understand, how can we utilise a value like awhina to really help and drive and improve the organisation from both a cultural perspective, but also a whole lot of productivity, leadership, and I was also chair at the time of the Health and Safety and People Committee. How do we really drive health and safety into it as a key component inside Kiwi Rail? So what the picture here is a graduate group from a program that was established, it was a cadetship program called Toi Toi. Designed and created by that man there, Ruben Aroa, who's the man who's holding the taiaha. And the idea was relatively quite simple. We were going to pluck a couple of young Māori out of all the different divisions in the organisation, whether they were working in engineering workshops, whether they were on the Inter-Islander, whether they were out on the network repairing rail, whether they were operating in the sales team. We'd grab them, we would partner them up with a senior member of Kiwi Rail, preferably Māori, and then they would go in a 6-month course roughly, where they were going to be led through a leadership program, but was specifically designed around Māori values. So it had te reo, tikanga, waiata, all those things, but also Māori thinking around leadership. How do you position yourself in the organisation? What will it take for you to become a leader in the organisation? And after 6 months, they graduated. There's a picture of their graduation. And then they went sent back out to work back in their teams. The result was so good that the managers of these people, the young ones, were starting to contact back head office and going, I can't believe how capable my staff member is now. And I can't believe how productive and how they're actually influencing the people around them. And we're suddenly lifting in productivity, the safety result records are better, everything about our team is so much better. Can I go on this course? This has now become the default course for executive leadership, certainly wasn't my time before I left Kiwi Rail, for management inside Kiwi Rail. And if you think about it, it kind of makes sense around the concept of awhina i te tangata. It kind of makes sense around, if you value people and you place them in a context that gives them some sense about who they are, you're only going to go one way in terms of the production of who they are, in terms of their value as a contributor into your organisation. So this is clearly a proposition around a Māori lens view, producing outsized outcomes and adding value to an organisation. Can I also point out that this is also a critical component of our safety program that we put in place. We didn't have great safety records previously at Kiwi Rail. We trailed like behind most of the other rail companies around the world. And no matter how many engineering controls we put in place, safety is nothing but culture. If you don't believe you need to protect the person next to you, then you don't believe that was part of the culture of who you are living in an organisation. You don't really believe that it's fair enough that you should be able to go home at night and be safe. If you don't really believe in that, then it's really hard to put in a proper safety program inside your organisation. Culture is where it starts and where it ends. This program helped to develop that. Right, I promise you a second example. CH4 Global. I'm on the board of a company which is utilising a seaweed. It's called Asparagopsis. And according to various research trials, if you apply the seaweed to ruminant animals like cows and sheep, you can reduce their methane by up to 80 or 90%. It was originally all designed out of Australia. The technology was designed in Australia. We founded the business in New Zealand, and then we sent it up into the States because to become a globally aspirational company, we needed to access big chunks of capital, and so we designed it to be such out of the US. So the head office is in the US. We still have operations here in New Zealand and operations in Australia, and we're in 2 other countries. It has 3 values, this company. First value is act with urgency. And the reason being is climate change is real. We don't have time to muck around. Second value is work with farmers. Our view is the solution will not work if farmers cannot adopt it because it meets both their pricing structure, it meets their existing systems models, and it meets the outcomes that they require. The third value of the business is that wherever we can, we will work with local communities, particularly indigenous groups, to grow and distribute this product to help their economies. And that's driven from a Māori principle of manaaki and of recognition of mana whenua. And to that point, up on the map you can see there on the screen, we're dealing with South Australia. So you can see there's a little map of Australia at the bottom. There's a greyed out area. That's the area we're looking at. If you look, you can carefully see Adelaide. That map there is the map of the people of country, the mana whenua of that region. What I'm talking about is this little yellow bit, one on the yellow part to the left of Adelaide, this isthmus, that's Port Jackson. And the people of country of that area is the Ngāpuhi people. And the Ngāpuhi Corporation are entering into arrangements with us to help grow, because they've got marine space and land, to help grow Asparagopsis. And I'm due in there 2 weeks' time. We're going to finalise all the arrangements, and we've already got teams up and running right now. But I wanted to point out that these are 2 examples of what we talked about where we heard Arama and Rachel and other speakers before us talk about the contribution Māori can make on a global scale. And if you think that you, simply by being Māori, you're going to have to put that to the side when you go and join a big, large board or whatever, you don't have to. In fact, what you have intrinsically inside you is useful for the organisation. So this is the challenge I'm going to leave for you. If you're a young governor and you're seeking to get onto boards, there's one fundamental duty, obligation for you as a governor. It's add value. So if you're a real process junkie, by the way, I'm a commercial lawyer by training, I can get that stuff, it's fine. If you really want to be a stickler for compliance and that type of stuff, that's great. But that's your real job, is add value to the organisation. And if you can determine how you add value, and by the way, being uniquely on a board, and if you're Māori, you have incredible access to adding value. So my challenge to you is continue to think innovatively how we add value going forward. Kia ora tātou.